We are live. We are live. And listen, we'll be getting started in a moment. It is Mental Health Awareness Month, and I am so excited about today's topic. We're talking about depression in men and women, and I have two amazing and special guests who are with me to disseminate uh, great information and then dispel the stigma surrounding mental health. So I'm excited, but I want you have to play your part. Play your part. Share this live. Share this live with somebody. Just go in your inbox, DM people, text it out, whatever, because today's conversation is going to be a good one. It's going to be one for the books. So we'll be getting started shortly. Hang tight. All right. All right. I think this is a good place to get started. Hello, hello, hello. And welcome to today's live. We're talking about Mental Health Awareness Month. It is May. Every May this month is observed. And what do we do during this month? Why is it so important? First and foremost, it celebrates how far we've come in mental health awareness. You know, at one point in time, mental health was taboo to talk about these things. It was taboo. It wasn't things that we talked around the table. For those of us who are spiritual or believe in a higher power such as God or Jesus or anything, it was all about Jesus is enough, right? But we find that Jesus is enough. He is sufficient. But there are other modes of tackling things such as depression, like we're going to talk about today. So, you know, Mental Health Awareness Month, it brings so many great things to it, right? We address stigmas, we bring awareness, we educate, and we show that there's greater help out there. Who am I? My name is Angela Beasley. I am your favorite counselor. I'm now an LPC. Whoop whoop, elevating on in this world. But we're going to hear from a video that's going to introduce myself and my two special guests. Before we go any deeper, I want you to give me some hearts. I need to see the hearts. I need to see some likes. And I need to see some shares because today's conversation is going to be another one for the books. If you missed the last conversation, you can go on my Instagram page at Angie B Creative. You can go on my Facebook page, Angela Beasley, or YouTube, Angela Beasley 555, and catch that last conversation. We talked about marriage and relationships. It was so good. And I'm only expecting it to go higher and higher every time we go live. So, enough about me or talking about what this initiative is. Let's introduce our special guest. Stay tuned.
Angela Beasley is a licensed professional counselor, international speaker, singer, and creative visionary with a heart for ministry and healing. With experience spanning mental health, media, and public speaking, she empowers audiences through faith-based insight, trauma-informed care, and authentic storytelling. A former podcaster and global presenter, Angela uses her voice, both in speech and song, to inspire transformation, cultivate hope, and restore lives across cultures and communities. Alicia Francis is a duly licensed professional counselor in Louisiana and Texas, and is a board-approved supervisor in Louisiana. A New Orleans native and mother of 4, she holds a master's degree in clinical mental health and school counseling from the University of Holy Cross, and is a PhD candidate in counselor education and supervision at Walden University. With over 18 years of experience, Alicia specializes in solution-focused and cognitive behavioral therapy, with a passion for helping young adult women navigate life's challenges. D.C. Cross has been designated as a motivational speaker, songwriter, and recording artist. He is the second of 2 children to his mother and father. Sincerely motivated, his desire to reach people is personal, progressive, concerned, and conscientious for all, with a willingness to address the total needs of the people he encounters. He has been affiliated with numerous community organizations and has been highlighted by many across the city of NOLA. His heart for people is evident through his dialogue. He believes in enjoying life, yet still maintaining his standards. He lives by his sculpted quote that doing right shouldn't be looked at as a leisure, but a lifestyle. Welcome, y'all.
Yes.
Hello.
Hi. Y'all, listen, I have been anticipating every single guest and every single topic that has been basically like downloaded on me to talk about. And we're talking about depression in women and men. So I know this is going to be good. Y'all ready?
Absolutely.
Yes, absolutely.
Let's go. Let's go. So let's hop straight on in. You know, there are many stigmas and stats out there regarding every mental health ailment out there. But regarding depression, my first question to you both is, are there biological, psychological, or social differences in how men and women experience depression?
Mm. You first or me first, Cross?
You got it. You got it. Go ahead.
So, what I have noticed and researched over the years is that, um, men and women process things differently.
Yeah.
Biologically, we process things differently. Men process things like they're more task oriented.
Mm,
So, they're task driven. Women are emotional. You usually see depression on women, physically see it on women probably faster than you would see it on men because we're
really?
emotional. We're emotional. We rarely are able to um, kind of cover that up, and if we do, it may look like it's hypomanic. So it
Mm,
might look like I'm getting a whole bunch of things done. So people may think it's ADHD, but it's really depression. It
mm,
may
Wow.
look like it can look like the happiest person in the room.
mm,
Depression can look good
mm.
because sometimes we make it look good because
Wow.
that's what we do.
Right.
So it's very difficult to even identify it within men and women. But as far as the differences, it's always going to look different because we're always going to express it differently. For some women, it's going to look like they're just constantly on the go. They're constantly doing something, always accepting engagements, always because they
Mm,
don't want to be alone,
wow.
always making themselves busy, just constantly being involved in something. So it can look different in many different ways in different people because it's only identified if you let someone know that it's there because
Wow.
we can hide it very, very easily.
So I can be productive. I can be going to work, getting dressed, presenting, right, in a certain way,
Hmm.
still interacting with people, socializing, but I could be depressed.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because interacting with people and socializing is the way that you get through. But how are you sleeping at night? What
Mm,
does
Right.
your room look like? What does
mhm.
your house look like? How hard is it how difficult is it for you to get together in the daytime to even put on that face, that mask?
Mm,
So we don't know until you let us know that there's depression that's involved.
Goodness gracious. All
mhm.
right. They're dropping bombs already, dropping bombs. Thank you, CEO of this wonderful initiative. Let's hear
Yes.
from the CFO, DC.
Yeah, I totally agree. She said it already that we process things totally different.
Yeah.
I know that there is a lot of pressure for men to appear physically and emotionally strong.
Mhm.
Hmm.
You know, even as young boys, when boys fall, they say, "Get up, don't cry. Make sure you don't cry." Even as young boys, I believe that the intent behind it of teaching young boys how to be strong and how to be hard, I think
Hmm.
it comes from a good place, but it can affect you psychologically
Ooh.
because everyone isn't wired the same.
Yeah.
You know, pressure doesn't work the same way with everybody. There are some people that will sink and some people that will swim. It
Mhm.
just depends on the makeup of the individual. And so, although we understand the concept of building a man to be a man, you got to allow a man to express themselves emotionally, or it'll affect them psychologically.
Wow.
Absolutely.
So throughout life, and we know often little boys are taught, like you said, not to cry, be a man. I've even heard of and even seen little boys punched in their chest to like toughen them,
Hmm.
Hmm.
up, right? And that only perpetuates these young boys,
Absolutely.
men who, like you said, hold these emotions and they don't know how to properly express it, or they've been shunned for expressing their emotions in ways. Whew.
Absolutely. And what do you see different there with boys you're taught, stop crying, get up, just keep moving. But with girls you're taught, it's gonna be okay. Come here.
Right.
It's all right. It's not no processing is done in either scenario
Wow.
of what's wrong. It's just how to cover it up. Come here, let someone comfort me for the women's side
Hmm.
and me toughen up as a man. So it's completely different.
We're a
Right.
part of the problem.
Absolutely.
Hmm.
Wow. But
Absolutely.
today
Absolutely.
we're a part of the solution because we're having this conversation.
Right.
Hmm.
All right. So, my next question, how do societal expectations or gender roles affect how men and women express or cope with depression? And we touched down on some of it, but if you want to go a
Hmm.
little bit further, go for
All right, Cross, you got it. I'm piggybacking right off you.
it.
Okay. So I think the pressure of looking a certain way or presenting a certain way for men um, adds such a level of depression for a lot of them because the reality that is that life is full of expectations and disappointments, but we don't know how to handle them because we have not gotten a sense of, we always want to control everything.
Right.
We have not yet come to the concept that there's some stuff in life you cannot control. Some
Hmm.
stuff in life, it is just out of your control. And depending on the type of person you are, you'll let that affect you emotionally. And now you yourself, you start calling yourself a failure, or you start looking at yourself as, I'm so disappointing, and you don't know how to handle disappointing moments, not knowing that you can recover from disappointment. But
Oh,
Hmm.
because you don't learn how to process, we find ourselves slowly slipping away because we're not like, or we didn't do what everybody else did in society. We always kind of match ourselves up. I hear people say all the time, trying to keep up with the Joneses,
yeah.
Hmm.
trying to make sure that you keep up an appearance for society, when in the reality, you're struggling.
For
Wow.
sure. Society always tries to pinpoint and has always tried to pinpoint what even beauty looks like. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
so, especially within, for women. And I've even seen it in children when I used to work in the schools, how their self-image was affected by cartoons,
Mm,
by little
Mhm.
things that mom or dad has said regarding how you eat, or eat all your food off your plate, or you're not moving until you're done, and things like that actually, you know, it shapes our children. So,
wow.
and it
Yeah.
shapes their mind and how they think about themselves and what they think they're supposed to do. So instead of giving our even our kids that even balance, they look they see things in a way where I have to finish this. So now they overeat. Now that that just the self image is just affected before, really before elementary. By the time they get there, if you really notice the way, especially little girls, if you notice the way little girls are dressed, the way their mothers are dressing them, the way that they're dancing, all these different things. And when they can't get a specific look, can't get specific clothes, can't do specific things a certain way, it affects the way that they look at themselves. Like, we have to start teaching even our kids like what beauty looks like, because
Yes.
beauty, that societal norm of beauty is not normal. It's not. It's actually something that is reached for,
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
people are killing themselves to feel better
Yeah.
about themselves.
Yeah.
All from depression, all from, a negative self-image.
Goodness gracious. That shows the power of our impact when we're around these kids. It's nature and
Hmm.
nurture, and we all have a part to play. We all have a seed to sow, even in little kids or people around us who we're not related to. You never know how that one word of "you're beautiful" or "you're special" may
Yes.
impact
Mhm.
a child. There are memories I even hold from childhood when I was having rough days, because my past wasn't pretty, right? But I
Right.
remember certain people who sowed seeds of positivity into me that I held on to, and it gave me courage and it gave me strength.
Hmm.
That is good, y'all. That's so good.
Absolutely.
All right, let's shift a little bit. So we know men and women have different hormones. We're made differently, right? How might hormonal differences play a role in depression across genders?
I know how it plays a role for perimenopause.
Okay, talk about that.
It's wearing me out. Because we have these differences chemically
Yeah,
with our bodies, right?
yeah.
It plays such a huge role in it, because sometimes it can be misinterpreted for one thing, and it could be by a lot. It's a situation where, is it my hormones,
Mm,
or is it are my hormones connected to my emotions? They absolutely are.
mm,
Your emotions could throw your hormones and your chemical imbalance like into a crazy whirlwind.
for sure.
So for it, now specifically for women, when I'm dealing with women, when it affects your mood. Your mood affects hot flashes. It
Mm,
affects, anxiety can also affect that as well. It can affect you, the chemically imbalanced
yeah.
part of you can absolutely be affected by your emotions. All of it is connected.
Yes,
There's
indeed.
not a part of us that's not connected, especially when it comes
Right.
to your bodies. Everything is connected. So it definitely can affect you. Uh, your psychological well-being can absolutely affect your physical well-being,
Okay, you're talking good right now. I have a theory of holistic healing as well.
for
We don't just
sure.
look at one symptom or
That's
one part
right.
of ourselves, but it's like you said, it's a whole that's connected. So if you're balanced in this area, but you may not be balanced in that area, and we need to look at it across the board.
Absolutely. We're a system. Our
Yes.
bodies are systems.
Yeah.
And if something is not functioning right in the system, it's going to affect the other parts. So
Mm,
it definitely affects you physically.
mm.
Your hormones are affected. That's why you have to have a really good balance. It's difficult, but it's possible. It's always possible.
That's so good. That's so good. Cross, we're gonna come to you in a second, but I find that there are things called hormone disruptors, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
we know that it could be chemical, like the perfumes or the plastic bottles or things
Right.
we eat out of, but it can be individuals who
For
disrupt
sure.
our hormones and our peace. But that's another topic for another
But
day.
by you saying that, even with the when you said the perfumes, even the perfumes, it did all of them could be disruptors, right? If I'm walking into a place and there is a scent that has triggered something in my mind, for sure my body's going to be triggered.
Come on.
Absolutely.
It's going to be triggered.
Yes,
And
indeed.
those are the things that people don't understand. Like, why did I walk in this place and now I'm feeling so bad, or I feel like I don't want to be here? But all of that is connected. We're a system, and all of it is connected.
Absolutely. Come on. I love how you did that. We talk about triggers
Yeah.
all day long in addictions.
For sure, for
Yeah.
sure.
All right, Cross, what you got, man?
Men are hormonal too. We
Okay.
have feelings.
Do y'all really?
Really?
We have
What?
feelings.
Oh my gosh.
And sometimes it can be all over the place. But again, we try to hold it together so we
Right.
can present a certain way
Mm-hmm.
because we fear judgment of our emotions.
Mm-hmm.
We fear the fact that you're going to look at me and you're going to think less of me if I
Mm,
admit that I'm having an emotional moment.
mm,
And sometimes it's not written on my face, but it'll start showing through my actions
wow.
Mm-hmm.
that, oh, something's going on with him. He's not himself, and so we fear talking to you or talking to anybody about it because we don't want to be judged based on our emotions. But yeah, our emotions be all over the place as well.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love that you said that, DC, because oftentimes, I mean, I think we have emotional intelligence and we view things differently, but oftentimes we unfairly place labels or expectations on individuals due to their gender roles. Like,
Right.
For
Yeah.
sure.
that's not fair to say, oh, you can't talk about that. You have to be strong because you're a man, right?
Mm-hmm.
I find that people are stronger when they express, and it's weakness to hold that stuff in, essentially.
Mhm.
Definitely. And a lot of times we judge men and say that men are being accused of acting like a woman
Mm,
because you're
Mhm.
too emotional. You're not
mm,
Right.
supposed to do that. You're not supposed to act that way. You're not. But everybody, experiences emotions.
mm,
Women are just taught most of the time because of the way that we process information that it's okay to be that way, but you can't be overly emotional. You
mm,
have to find a balance. And
mm,
and a lot of times people don't know how to find that balance.
Right.
mhm. So I think you both, first and foremost, we cooking up in here. Y'all feel the heat from the kitchen?
I can feel the heat. Feel the heat.
We you both talked about different ways that men and women may differ or experience depression, but let's go a little deeper into that. Do we? I mean, you alluded to it earlier, Alicia, but do we handle
Hmm.
it differently, or are we more similar than we think?
From my experience, we handle it differently. We absolutely handle it differently. We well, let's say this. We display it differently.
Mm, mhm,
Yeah.
We display it differently. It's experienced um, from others differently than it
mm,
is from women. People don't understand there's so many things that's connected to depression. Your weight gain, weight loss is connected
okay.
to depression.
Okay.
The way that, if I can sleep at night, I can't fall asleep, I can't stay asleep. All of that's connected to depression. Um, the way that I handle my job,
Mm,
all that's connected to it. You see people who kind of drift off at their desk, and then you okay? Oh yeah, I'm okay. I was just thinking about the things I had to do this afternoon. So it's really how we experience how the how the people around you experience you.
Mm,
But typically, it is seen as different. It is definitely experienced the same, but yet displayed differently.
mm,
Definitely, yeah. Yeah, and I know for men, we tend to fight against our feelings,
mm,
Hmm.
and we don't like to be expressive. We don't like to sit in our feelings or whatever. And there's nothing worse than trying to push through when you're overwhelmed.
mm,
Right.
You know, once you've acknowledged that you're overwhelmed and you don't do nothing about it, and a lot of men, that's why it's expressed through anger or violence because we don't ever address how we feel. We just keep on
Hmm.
going like nothing going on.
Right.
That's for most men, but for me, and Alicia knows we got 15 years between us, so she knows how I
Uh-huh.
process things. She'll she'll know if we talked about something. She'll call me later and say, "You still asleep?" Because she knows for me, I I
Absolutely.
check out, I go to sleep,
Hmm.
and I'll sleep and I'll sleep and I'll sleep, and she'll that's how she'll know something's because I'm usually on the go. I have something to do or I'm going somewhere, but
mm.
she'll be like, "Still over there sleeping, huh?"
And
Yeah.
then the
You
next
can be
thing, and the next thing sounds like this. All right, now it's time to wake up now. Like
right,
we have to get
absolutely,
through this. It's time to wake
yeah,
up. We have to get through this. It's time to make a decision. You can't sleep it away.
right,
Yeah. So
yeah,
it seems like women tend to externalize it in ways
Hmm.
and men internalize
Hmm.
depression.
Absolutely.
yeah,
And it
absolutely,
can flip. It can flip here and there,
Okay.
right,
depending on who's experiencing it. Absolutely.
mhm,
Okay. So again, I think every question kind of ties in because y'all just that good. Y'all just, bobbing and weaving and touching on
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
all topics, right? And I know
Hmm.
that the people who are watching you are learning, right? The point of this month and this initiative that I'm doing is to talk about these topics, educate and remove the stigma, right? So if y'all are enjoying this topic, put some hearts, put some fire signs, whatever, and show us that you are with us, you rocking with us, right? But I want to know what are core symptoms of depression that show up regardless of gender. You alluded to it again, but let's just make it clear for the people.
Hmm. What I've experienced and what I've seen is that it could be, it's not just sadness.
Yeah.
It could
mhm,
be, you could become hypomanic. So hypomanic in a way that it looks like I'm getting every single thing done. Like, how do you get all of this done?
Yeah.
How do you do
mhm,
this? I see you have this job, you might have this, you have the kids, you have, your husband, you have your wife, how do you get all of this done? And so sometimes we can become hypomanic. It doesn't just look like sadness.
Yeah.
It can be unorganized. You can be unorganized. You
Mm,
cannot be able to just get things together from your room to your car
mm,
to your desk, just anything that is your space. Not being able to actually take a hold of it and being intentional about every single thing you do,
yeah.
which includes putting down your keys, putting down, cooking, just anything that is your day-to-day functioning can be disrupted by depression. And you're thinking it's just because you're so busy.
Mm,
And it's not necessarily because you're so busy, it's because of the fact that those depression symptoms are there. Depression is more than sadness.
right,
It's much more than sadness. People just think, well, why, why are you sad? Or sometimes it is sadness, but a lot of times it's not sadness, because we look at sadness as people just sitting down crying and just,
yeah.
not being able to get up, covering their heads, not want to get out the house. It's not always like that. There's a
Yeah.
lot of people who are walking, who are talking, who are
yeah,
singing, who are preaching, who are doing all types of things, and they are depressed and don't know how to get out of it. So it has so many different faces. It has so many different faces to it.
I love that you said that it's more than sadness. Even in the Disney movie Inside Out, um
Hmm.
depression, she is depicted as blue. She's always moping around with talking with a low tone. Body language is expressing, being down and out. However, you are bringing awareness to it again, that I can again be highly functioning. I can be connecting with others, going to work,
Mhm.
seeming as if I am thriving and striving, but I'm suffering on the inside. So depression is not just a sad look,
It is
right?
not.
I love
Because
that.
most times people will overcompensate to try to avoid embracing the fact that they're depressed.
Mm,
Yeah.
You know, I'm always finding something to do. Men, they'll detach from their responsibilities at home.
mm,
Mm-hmm.
I don't never want to be home because I don't want to deal with the wife. I don't want to deal with the kids. I'm
mm.
picking up extra shifts. I'm doing more work. Once I get off from work, I'm finding something else to do because I don't want to be home because I'm
Mm-hmm.
unhappy. I'm unsatisfied. You know, and
Wow.
so we'll find other things to try to cope with it, but never acknowledge it, never embrace the fact that maybe something is really wrong with me. You
Yeah.
Right.
know, I'm doing all this other kind of stuff, trying to pile all this stuff on me so I don't have to face the facts that
Mm-hmm.
I'm really going through a state of depression.
For
Yes.
sure.
Indeed.
There's some people who are even home, like you do go home, but you're not there.
Mhm.
It's
Right.
like
Yeah.
you're late from others. I've worked with men before. I love, 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 love when I get men that sign up for counseling. I love it
Yeah.
because they're a different type of code to crack. And
Mm,
so when you really get down to it, you'd be surprised how many men and women, but when I kind of flipped over to your side, Cross, how many men are, don't even know their dads. And they're in
mm,
their
Yeah.
40s, 50s, and they still think about those things, but it doesn't come out until it comes out in therapy. How many
mm,
moms don't know their dads, don't know where they came from, and it comes out in counseling how
wow.
they feel lost. So how are they
Mhm.
supposed to lead a family? How are they supposed to be a mom when they were never taught how to be a mom?
Wow.
Mhm.
Goodness
That's
gracious,
crazy.
y'all.
Yeah.
So we touched down on a lot of the symptoms of someone experiencing depression emotionally, physically, and behaviorally, right? And I have a few, but is there any you both want to add to the typical signs and symptoms?
Not that I can think of.
Okay. So we talked about fatigue, it could be hypomania.
Hmm.
It's not always persistent sadness, but it could be feelings of persistently being sad and emptiness. Depression can look like a loss of interest or pleasure, changes in sleep and appetite, which y'all talked about. It could be difficulty concentrating on tasks or things that you're handling,
Mhm.
feelings of guilt, worthlessness, hopelessness, and then thoughts of self harm or suicide.
For
And
sure.
I do want to offer this resource of 988 if you are feeling hopeless or having thoughts or feelings of suicide. You can reach out to 988. It is a national hotline 24/7. It's free, it's confidential. You can text 988. You can call them, and you can also chat with them online. If you just type in 988 in Google, that website will come up and you can contact or touch down on that resource. There's always hope. There's always hope and there's always help. So don't make big decisions, unreversible decisions in moments of emotions, because emotions are like the weather, they change.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Um so all right, let's shift a little bit. What are some effective treatments for depression, i.e. therapy, medicine, or lifestyle changes?
I know for my clients, I always recommend them to go through at least about, depending on how they present, at least about 4 to 6 weeks of therapy before even thinking about medication.
Mm,
Because for some people, just being able to talk to someone openly and honestly is the key. Not, I always get through with my talk to my clients like down to earth.
Mm.
Mhm.
Explain to them, you're only going to get as much out of this as you put into it. If
Right.
Ooh.
you in line with me, I won't know that, but you will, and you'll stop the process. So I always, I always encourage my clients, be honest, brutally honest about how you're feeling. Nobody's here to be able to judge you. If it's about your children, if it's about your husband, your wife, if it's about your mom or your dad,
Mm.
be able to come and talk about how you're feeling. So I don't necessarily encourage medication off the bat unless it's as a case by case basis. Of course, you know that it's a case by case basis. But I definitely encourage more talk therapy than medication, because a lot of times we can get through it if we just talk. If we
Mhm.
just talk about it, if you just openly express your feelings, and then allow somebody to be able to come in with some different coping strategies to help you process those feelings if it's connected with trauma, to be
Yeah.
able to, and understanding that just because you're talking about trauma, that's, I hear people say, we have to resolve, get some, things resolved. They don't always get resolved, but they can get addressed.
Mm.
Right. Right.
Get addressed. Trauma cannot be resolved,
Mm.
but we
That's
can address
good.
it. We can address how
That's
it made you
good.
feel. We can address how it's affecting you now. So
Yeah.
we can move in a more productive way. So I don't
That's all right. That's all right. I'm
Yeah.
sure she's
But
gonna be right back. DC, pick it up.
yeah, so I totally in agreement with what Alicia said. You have to seek some help from a trusted source,
Mhm.
somebody you trust, because your biggest stride in getting help is vulnerability. Being
Mhm.
able to be honest, being able to be transparent, and being able to put it all on the table. Um, Bishop Jonathan Everett, he says it this way: if you don't let it out the right way, you'll act it out the wrong way.
Yeah.
So you have to make sure that you connect with trusted sources so you can come to a place where you can find some type of resolve for it. Might not be resolved, but it will be addressed.
That's
for
so good.
sure.
That's so good. One of our guests who are watching from Facebook said, yes, transparency opens the door to healing. And essentially, transparency, I believe that word coincides and is simultaneous with vulnerability.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Good stuff, y'all. All right, so we talked about some effective treatments for depression. I even want to talk about exercise. You know, I've dealt with depression in the past, and exercise has its way of releasing those important neurotransmitters or chemicals in our bodies, right? I think depression is connected to an imbalance, right? So exercising helps us to get balance essentially in many different ways, but it releases a lot of happy hormones that brings that homeostasis that we look for.
For sure.
Also, check your vitamin D levels. You may
De-
be deficient in vitamin D.
Definitely.
And vitamin D is like the cheat code to your overall well-being,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mhm.
If you get blood work done, you can go to the doctor, ask them, what are my levels? Let's check my levels. And then your doctor can prescribe you high doses of vitamin D, because if you're vitamin D deficient, it's going to impact your sleep, it's going to impact your mood, it's going to impact the way that you operate, right? And then another one is happy lamps. You can
Mm-hmm.
find them on Amazon, you can find them in many different places, but a happy lamp is essentially a lamp, especially for those who live in regions where sunlight is sparse, where you can receive that dose, that consistent dose of vitamin D, right? So I find that those are two effective ways of dealing with depression too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we have to support each other.
Oh, that's
Mhm.
good.
We have to support each other. We have to have those people around us or who connected to us who don't trigger depression.
Ooh, girl, listen, because even the people, community, support systems around us matter.
They do.
Yeah.
People can drag us down or pull us up. Which
And
one?
and you won't realize how far you're down until you can't get up.
Mhm.
Mm,
For
That's so
sure. We have to surround ourselves with supportive people. We have to get out of these relationships that aren't good for us,
yeah.
that don't actually celebrate us, but it actually drags us down. We have to,
right.
even those relationships are blood relationships.
Ooh.
Yeah.
You touching on these things today.
Yeah, even if they're even blood relationships, I talk to my clients all the time. They have very toxic parents,
Mhm.
and we're doing so good, and then mom comes around
Mm, mm,
and then feels like we're going all the way back to square one. I'm like, what is going on? We'll come to find out the trigger has arrived. She came back, and she
mm,
answered the door, or she answered
Wow.
the, and now we're back to square one. Sometimes you have to let even blood relatives go if they're a trigger of depression.
mm.
Mm,
That
that's
right
crazy.
there. It's
Because
hard.
everybody not celebrating. Everybody not celebrating this weekend.
They're
Mm,
This
not.
weekend is a trigger for some people.
that's
For,
good to see.
for sure. This weekend
Mhm.
is like some people won't be able to get up, and it actually started. It
Yeah.
it doesn't even start that day. It actually started
Right.
when May comes in.
Mhm.
It
Mhm.
starts for
And
some.
the Mother's Day commercials start playing.
The Mother's Day, the Mother's Day cards, everything
Yeah. Yeah.
are out. The everything is happening, and this weekend is very tough for some people who not, maybe the people who didn't just lose mom, but the people who lost mom years ago, and the people
Right.
who mom now who never had mom because
Mm.
she couldn't be mom.
No, y'all. So
Wow.
when I thought about placing this particular segment today, I was like, is this gonna be good? Right? No, it's perfect. It's perfect
Hmm.
to talk
Yeah.
about this, right? And it goes back to community.
Mm.
You need, like, when we are out and alone, I think about that analogy of a sheep wandering on their own. They're
Hmm.
so much more susceptible to being attacked when you're by yourself, right?
Self.
Right.
Yeah.
So if you don't have that community that you can lean on and talk to today and say, listen, girl, or listen, man, like today is hard. I miss my mom. I need that support. I need that guidance. I need just to hear a word. I just need you to listen to me and don't say anything. If
Right.
you are out there on your own with all of those thoughts and those feelings, you can easily be overwhelmed and
Hmm.
take, right? So we're better together. And I love that you talked about community.
Yeah.
It's important.
For sure. We have to
Mm.
have it. And even if your community is not who you think it should be,
Mm.
you have to create it. I
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
are pregnant and postpartum women who have substance abuse issues. They stay in a residential facility.
Yeah.
And their mom was the one who, or their dad was the one who got them on drugs at 10.
Mm, mm, mm.
Wow.
Start
Yes.
giving Xanax at 10. So it's like, mourning what you have,
Yeah.
necessarily what you don't have. You
Mm,
have a mom
Hmm.
or a dad who can be mom or dad to help shape who you were supposed to become.
mm.
Yeah.
So being able to just, work through those emotions right now, during this weekend, during this month, during next month, is going to come again for the ones who don't have.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for
Right.
sure.
I'm so glad you touched down on that. The things that we hear in these rooms, and it'll make you just be like, really? That's
Yeah.
what's happening in this world?
Mhm.
But I'm so grateful that there are individuals like us who have a heart. And I was talking to a friend earlier who are graced to help people walk from one maybe the ugliest part of their lives to a better existence, a better version. So
Mhm.
I want to give both of y'all a pat on the back and give us a pat on the back for what we
Yes.
do on a daily basis. All right.
Yeah.
So, all right, let's shift a little bit because these are things that everybody needs to know about depression. What myths about depression need to be challenged in society? You challenged one earlier that sadness, it doesn't always look like sadness, right? It doesn't look like under functioning. You can be a highly functioning, high producing individual and still be depressed. But what other myths are out there regarding depression?
Hmm.
A lot of people think that depression looks the same for everybody. Like you cannot really look at a person. You said it just now. You can't look at a person and well, not everybody. You can't look at everybody and see depression on them
Yeah.
because unfortunately, in the church, we've been taught how to mask it, how to praise your way through. Just shout the victory, and everything's gonna turn around for you. And in that moment, we rejoice. But then we go home to the reality that my life is a mess.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And it's not that I don't believe God. I'm in a struggle.
Yeah.
I need some help. I
Hmm.
need somebody to talk to. And a lot of times, and I'll say from a male's perspective, we got to eliminate our ego because
Mm,
our ego says, you know, I'm all right. I'm good. That's our favorite word. I'm good. How you doing? I'm good.
yeah.
And we're lying because we're torn down. We have nobody to build us up. Sometimes we even go to church, and the only reason we're at church is to collect the offering.
Ooh,
Nobody really cares about if you're really going through something. You could have lost your job. They're just going to help you find another job. But I'm grieving behind the loss of my job,
come on.
And
Hmm.
so, I mean, it does not look the same way for everybody because a lot of us have learned how to function and be broken,
Yeah.
Yeah.
be hurting, be bleeding, but we're still leading because it's our responsibility. It's what we have to do. We feel like
Yeah.
we have to do it. And we
Hmm.
don't take no breaks. We don't take no vacation because we got to make sure we're on our posts because we don't want to disappoint our leaders. We don't want to. It's a whole lot that comes along with it. And I'm broken. I'm in a
Yeah.
weary place. But
Yeah.
I've
Hmm.
learned how to mask it and I've learned how to function because, yeah, that's,
Oh, that's so good, DC. That was so
yeah.
meaty.
Yeah. Yes.
So
Yes.
this is the last question we're gonna touch down on, y'all. This has been so informational. Like, just thank you both for your yes, because this is like sharpening my counselor muscle, connecting the hypomania and all of the other information we talked about, the myths and what depression is and how it shows up in men and women differently. This has been so informative, but let's end on this. How can we raise awareness and reduce stigma about depression in different communities, especially among men or underserved groups?
For me, I feel like for our community, the African American community, it starts in our churches.
Ooh.
It's belief because even though it may not look like right now, but the African American community looks up to
Yes.
their pastors. They
Yeah.
may not look like it right now. What we
Hmm.
see is the effects of broken leaders,
Yeah.
but we look up to the leaders. And it starts in our churches. It starts with our pastors and our leaders and our ministers. It starts with them understanding the importance of mental health.
Mm,
Evan, if you have a church that has any type of functions and things like that, people are going to come who don't even go to your church.
yeah.
If you having something that you're giving away, the community is going to,
Right.
because they look for the church to help. They just don't feel like the church is helping
Yeah.
because of that fact that we have to get like leaders and ministers on board. We did it for the past 2 years with Turnaround that we've had a pastors and leadership mental health symposium, and this year we're going to have it again as well. It's going to be in July.
July. Yeah,
Okay,
July 12th.
perfect.
July the 12th is going to be at Pastor Grant's church in Gretna. And so it's huge to connect with these community. They're community activists.
Right.
Like, listen to our pastors and leaders, and they listen to you when you say that mental health is not an issue. Talk to golf. They listen to that
Mhm.
as well.
Yes, indeed.
So it, and from where I sit, what I see, it starts with them, and they just don't understand the huge impact that they have and can have in a community. We should have a counseling center connected to every church,
Every
small or
church.
small or large. There's enough counselors,
Hmm.
but
Hmm.
are there enough pastors who believe that it's necessary? So for me, that's why I see that it really needs to start. We have to do something different. When we started turnaround, we started saying that we're wise counsel.
Yeah.
We're wise counsel. God put us here for a reason. He put us here with all of our gifts and all of these things that we have. He put us here for a reason. And so, we're here to be able to help. But if we connect with these churches, an unbelievable change can happen with the mental health of everybody in our communities.
That's so
Hmm.
good. And I remember trying to start an initiative during the pandemic, but I think some churches are afraid of the unknown. I think they're
Mhm.
afraid of most that's just human nature. What we don't
Right.
understand, we are afraid of it. But I think conversations like these, the organization you have, the summit that you all do, the symposium, the summit that you do, is important because it dispels stigma against mental health. We
Right,
find that a
Hmm.
lot of the older generations, they are still afraid to have these conversations. It's
for
scary,
sure,
or
for
they
sure.
were taught to push it down or sweep it under the rug,
Right.
but
Hmm.
that is no more.
Right,
So conversations like these, bringing awareness, dispels stigma.
for sure.
Do you see anything from you?
I just want to say, give it a try. Give counseling a try. Give therapy a try because a lot of times we don't know we need to unpack until we start unpacking.
Hmm.
And so I believe that that is one of the most vital things. Real quickly, just I always used as an example the woman with the issue of blood. We
Come on.
talked about how she pressed her way through the crowd and touched the hem of his garment. But there's a part of the scripture that says, Jesus asks, "Who touched me?" And they're like, "Why are you asking who touched you? See all these people." But it wasn't until she talked to him about it that the Bible says she was made whole. There's a difference between being healed. She got her healing already, but
Hmm.
wholeness came through the conversation. And
Yeah,
so there are some things that you'll never ever tap into until you talk about it.
Come on.
So I would encourage anybody, put your ego aside and talk about it.
for sure.
That's so good. You're about to make me shout over here, but I said, you know what? I forgot that I'm wearing a different hat today.
It was brought up, so it's perfectly fine to shout.
Right, right.
we
You will see it in the replay. But
right. So,
but y'all, this has been so good. Please tell the people how they can connect with Turnaround Coaching and Mentoring Services LLC. How can they connect?
So, Turnaround Coaching and Mentoring Services provides counseling, mentoring, and peer support to individuals in the community. I am actually a board certified a supervisor as well. So, we do have other therapists that work with us. DC also provides peer mentorship as well. And so, we've been out here for a while. we've been out here talking to these pastors and trying to get them on board for a while, even behind closed doors. Before it was a lot of people connecting. Now we made sure that we let people know, number one, that our services are here, and that we're here to just help whoever we can. You can always give us a call. DC is going to give you all the contact information because he rattles that off so beautifully. You rattle it off really beautifully. So, but we've been here. We've been doing this for about 3 or 4 years now, and we're taking it higher. We have a lot of good things coming in 2026. I'm working. We're working hard on it. So we usually put out a calendar every year about with events, but this year we're trying to do something different so it can take us to another place.
Nice.
So we're really working on that. So DC is the CFO of Turnaround, and Ashania Knight is the COO of Turnaround.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah. And so to contact us, you can always email us at turningforme@gmail.com. Or you can call us at 504-264-2675.
Give me that number one more time.
504-264-2675.
All right. So you will see the information scrolling at the bottom. Y'all, thank you so much for having this meaningful and important conversation today, bringing awareness to depression and how it shows up in men and women. I know if you're watching and you were tracking with us through the live, or you're going to watch later, that you learned something and you know how to contact individuals who can help. You can go to TCMS. The information's at the bottom of the screen. And there are other resources that I promise I will supply in the future segments. But thank you so much for taking your time to share your expertise, your greatness, your essence, your presence. I really appreciate you both.
Absolutely. Thank you
Thank
for.
you. Thank you for opening your platform.
For sure. For sure. We're better together, right? Community is what it's
That's
about.
right.
Always.
Yeah. Well, that has been today's segment. Y'all, thank you for tuning in today. Y'all have been showing love in the comments. Thank you for rocking with us. Next up, the next conversation will be with Kevin Lampton and Jamal Ford regarding business acumen and the importance of our thought process and thinking. That's going to be on Tuesday. I will be pushing it out and promoting it on social. But thank you for tuning in, and I hope you all have a beautiful day. Take care.
Have a
Angela
wonderful day.
Beasley is a